Tristan, you guys traded with us to get the fastest guy on the field this draft season, Xavier Worthy. How do you feel about the Chiefs taking him at this position? And also, how do you feel about the Chiefs draft overall?
So, it seems like a lot of Chiefs fans are throwing parties, love getting Xavier Worthy. I wasn't that crazy about it myself. The bottom line for me, Ryan, is I don't like small football players. Most of the time, they don't work out.
He's so tiny.
Dude, I mean, he's 100.
Tyreek Hill's the anomaly to this.
Right. He's 140 soaking wet or something. Like
Allen Iverson, these guys are just anomalies of their field.
It just hardly ever happens. Another thing, too, as we talked about when he ran the 40, if you look at guys who have run the fastest 40s, how many of them ended up being really good NFL players?
Almost none.
Almost none of them. Now, with that said, I do trust Brett Veach and Andy Reid. Because full transparency, I didn't like the Rashee Rice pick last season because Rice wasn't playing in the slot in college like they were going to use him. Kansas City has this amazing ability of seeing guys and knowing what they can make them do in their offense. Like even if they didn't do that in college, they're like, yeah, this guy might have done X in college, but he was okay. But if he did Y, which he'll do for us, he's going to be spectacular. They're good at analyzing how they would perform in their team. I thought there were better receivers on the board. You know, I loved Ricky Pearsall. I like Keon Coleman a lot, even though the 40 time. But I do believe Andy Reid is going to find creative ways to use Xavier Worthy. I'm just really, really, really worried about the size. I don't love it as much as most people do.
Follow-up question to this, and this just hit me, and I want to know your opinion. I haven't heard this talked about at all, but what did Patrick Mahomes have to do when Tyreek Hill left? He had to redesign his quarterback play, correct? Because he didn't have that talent anywhere. Like Marquise Brown wasn't there. You didn't have Rashee Rice at his full potential yet. There wasn't anything around him. He had to start fresh, right? And yeah, you had MBS, which was really hit or miss, but did show up in the playoffs. So there you go. It showed up when it counted, I guess.
It was him and Kadarius Toney, basically. That was it, yeah.
And then Toney took a huge nosedive after, the 2022 season?
Right. Toney was solid in 2022. 2023, he was awful, but they added Rice, so that helped. Sky Moore never really got off the ground. He was a bad pick, but...
Rice is the clear favorite, right? Yes. He's the number one guy, except for now, Hollywood Brown.
And Rice is going to get suspended, so...
My question... Yeah. Oh, my gosh. We'll talk about that later. My question is... Patrick Mahomes has had to reroute his mind and his playing abilities and the way he throws the ball now because he hasn't had Tyreek in 2 seasons. Well, now you have a guy that ran a faster 40 than Tyreek, so you have that big play potential now back on the field. How is this going to affect Mahomes' gameplay going forward? Is it going to change at all? Is he going to overshoot these guys now? Is he going to always try for that big shot like he did with Tyreek?
No, I think it will be a balance because I think it's just going to slowly. I think they're just going to slowly morph the offense. It's going to operate the same way, I think, but it's just now the defense will have to be aware of the deep threat. Hollywood Brown is a burner. I think Xavier Worthy isn't even as much of a pick for this season as he is. You know, Hollywood Brown is a 1-year guy.
Yeah.
He's going to take that Hollywood Brown slot next season. I think that's the plan. I just obviously. It became difficult moving the ball last year. You know what I mean? No matter how good Patrick Mahomes was, he could only dink and dunk so much. I just think this makes them more open. He's still going to have that. That's going to be part of the offense. But whereas before, the defense didn't have to worry about anyone burning them. It was not like no one cared.
You brought all the safeties in.
That's exactly right. So now they're going to have to play more too high shells again. And I think it will give Mahomes more deep opportunities, but he'll pick them apart. So I just hope they can get the most out of Worthy because I'm really worried about his size. I'm worried about him being able to be productive off the line.
Brown is a burner in some sense, but I think he doesn't have to fill that role this season. What I mean is you got the guy there to do that, right? So you have Worthy who could be the burner if you needed him to be. So I think you're going to see a whole lot of really well-designed routes for Brown.
Oh, well, no doubt,
and Rashee Rice rather than the way, 30-yard, 40-yard passes to Brown. I think Worthy is going to be that guy that sneaks out and splits those safeties when nobody's looking, and then Mahomes now can hit that deep shot because last season you could see his face was fatigued with frustration throughout the year because he didn't have anybody to fall under that ball when he aired it out.
That's right.
And so now he's got that guy, right? And so I think you're going to see a lot more big shots taken by Mahomes this year, but rightfully so, because you have that guy now to do that. You don't have to load down Brown's shoulders now, like you have to do everything. You don't have to wear that many hats anymore.
Right.
You can take the speed hat off. We got that.
No, 100%. And I think Hollywood Brown's going to have a huge year.